for you guys. There we go. Okay. Now let me know if you can see my screen and if you can hear me. Can you see my screen, guys? Yay! So I just thought I'd do it this way this time, just so we can get a bit of a different vibe going as well. And if you guys prefer it this way, then we can do it this way a bit more often as well. So it's kind of what suits everybody, and you know, we absorb information in different ways, so to speak. So for today's webinar, what we're going to be talking about is meal prep hacks. Okay, now you guys are pretty good at this already, but there's always something to learn along the way and that sort of thing as well. So you guys understand that meal prepping, it's a really cool tool, okay, to use, especially, you know, to set yourself up for success, have access to the foods that help you, you know, not only look better, but perform better, but also feel better as well. Do you know yourself, like if you're eating well, you generally tend to feel a bit better. You know, when you're eating a lot of crap and things like that, we do tend to not feel great, you know. So your food is your fuel. So it's important that we do prep it like that. You're not going to, you know, go for a long journey and not put petrol in your car, you know, same sort of concept in that sense as well. So, and it helps also, you know, not only feel better, but you create connections, I reckon, with other people, you know, and your food is your medicine, really, and you're not always living up to your best self every day if you're not putting in that preparation. You know, like you wouldn't go into a race or, you know, a presentation or something like that, you know, if you weren't prepared. So we need to do that as well. So for those of you who will see this recording and don't know who I am Tanika. Take my advice or not, it's up to you. I am from Auckland, New Zealand, currently here, originally living in Ireland for the last 17 years. I've been in the health and fitness industry for just over 7 years now. I've been through my own weight loss journey and maintenance journey, then getting back to my shape after pregnancy and that sort of thing. So I do have a lot of experience in the weight loss area, meal prepping area, and a lot of I never started in nutrition, but because of my own journey, it sparked my interest in nutrition, and I changed my career. Majority of my clients are weight loss clients, fat loss clients, and I enjoy helping people achieve that. You know, it's really quite rewarding. So in creating that better relationship with food and with themselves in order to get to their goals. Okay, so moving along, guys, food prepping, right? So some of the benefits of food prepping, okay, it saves you a lot of money. It saves you a lot of time. Like, hello, is that not a good thing in this day and age? And I do know if any of you are guilty of, you know, say, going to the store without a list. Like, you guys are on your journey, so I'm pretty sure that you would have some form of a list. I would hope so. But, you know, why should we consider meal prepping? Now, most people are like, you know, why do I want to do it like that? Why would I do this? You know, which is a really good question, you know, and somebody starting out can kind of be a little bit difficult about meal prepping. It is learning a new skill. And at first it can be a little bit stressful. Okay, you've all started this journey before, you know, and it can be a new routine is change. And we all know how much we like change, but it does require a small amount of stress. But anytime you need to create that change, you do need to do that. So it's about learning how to drive. Like, you know, when you are learning to drive, it's stressful, but then all of a sudden it becomes easy once you know how. Or, you know, maths and school, like all of this stuff is stressful at first, but the more you put in practice, the easier it does become. And when you start applying it in life and getting those benefits, the same thing happens to prepping your food. Okay, it can be difficult at first, but when you start getting the hang of it, okay, you start implementing it in your life and you see how much value it can add. So, you know, the first few weeks or sometimes even months or however long somebody takes to quote unquote, leave that discomfort or that stress behind, it certainly does become a really handy tool in your box. Okay, so some of the benefits of prepping your food, as I said, it saves time, saves money. And as I said, I don't know if you guys are guilty of going to the supermarket without a game plan. But you come back and you probably have stuff in your trolley that you might not have wanted to put in there, or you've forgotten half the things you needed for some of the recipes, or you're buying things, that you might not eat straight away. So, it's going to go to waste. Like, how often or not do we chuck fruit and veg in the bin? I'm sure we all do it quite often. So, it's wasting of money. And also when you don't have food prepped and you're always, you tend to eat out more as well, which isn't a problem, guys, at all. But for some people, it costs more money, and the convenience of having something already made for you does, cost a little bit more time. But simply making it at home, it does save the amount of time as well. Okay, so that time that you have to go and sit in the drive-through, or going into the supermarket, or sitting there looking into the fridge, like, how often have you stood there and stared into the fridge? You might go back 10 minutes later and it's still looking the same. So it saves time because everything is already prepped for you. You have that game plan. You simply just grab it, make it if you need it, or it's already made and you take it and you go. So, and reducing waste is a big one as well. Like I mentioned before, not wasting food simply because you already know how much you need. Okay, you make it, you prep it in a manner where you will get to use it without it going bad. So it reduces a lot of waste, which also reduces a lot of stress, especially for those who are learning how to be mindful of their portion sizes. We're all guilty of that. They creep up very easy on us. And when you're eating in relation to how it makes you feel and your goals, it can get a bit stressful as well if you don't have a game plan, as with anything in life, because it kind of leaves you feeling helpless, I guess, in a sense. And you're like, oh God, what am I supposed to have with this meal? And what am I supposed to eat? What am I gonna make now? Oh wait, no, that doesn't work. Like, we've all been there before. And you have to go through these things, obviously, to try and figure out what does work for you and what doesn't work for you. Okay, so considering meal prepping, while that change can be scary and the new routine a little bit stressful, in the long run, it's going to save you time, money, stress, the whole lot, all in one fell swoop. Okay, so if you're new to meal prepping, just give it a bash and give it some time, and then it becomes part of the routine. Okay, so meal prepping hack number one, guys, so simple, plan it out. Right, we're gonna jump right into this one, planning it out. Oh my goodness, if you guys take anything away from this, number one is planning it out. This skill, this concept can be applied to anything in life, really, and if you want to achieve something, you need to make a plan to get there. Okay, so it's not just meal prepping, but it's super important, and it is a great way. So planning it out is planning your menu ahead of time. And when I say menu, that's not just saying, right, this is what I'm having for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's many ways that you can plan out your meal for the week, and what works for someone may not work for someone else. So I'll give you a few tips on this one. So when you're planning your meal out ahead of time, if you look at getting, say, a piece of paper, or using your tracking app, or even putting it on a whiteboard. I've seen many whiteboards in many kitchens. So what you need to do from there is write out literally the foods that you want to eat, basically. Or you can write down what you want for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Like, this is what I mean. You need to make it work for you. And from there, you can determine kind of how many times you're going to be eating a day. So let's say someone prefers 3 meals and 1 snack, so they eat 4 times a day. Then you can kind of break that up into the sections that you require. Or if someone's a macro counter or a calorie tracker or hand portion, tracking, or they're trying to just hit a protein goal, whatever your goals are, if you plan that out, okay, the easiest way to do it is decide kind of what you like to eat. Okay, I actually had this conversation yesterday. someone was really struggling for ideas, and when they Google things, it brings up things they don't like. And I said, well, just let's write a big list out of what you actually like to eat, right? Let's write now, how do you like to eat these things? And then from there, we made a menu. Okay. So it really is how it works for you, but it's important to write these things down and come up with a plan to get there. Okay. And a tip to keep things simple. We all know about protein. We talk about all the time, but would be to look at my plate. What am I having? Do I have a protein source? Do I have a carb source? Do I have a fat source? Okay, now obviously some people don't eat on plates because they're on the go and they're busy, but as a general idea, if we can kind of look at that and then, plan them out onto our meals. But as I said, brownie points for people who can get a whole heap of veg and fruit into their life as well. Not only is it awesome for their micronutrients, but high voluminous foods, like have heaps of them on your plate with very little calories, which is awesome. Plus you're going to get lots of fiber, which helps fill up our belly as well, and we can only benefit from having them. So always have a look at that. Do I have a protein? Do I have a carb? Do I have a fat? And then do I have a whole bunch of fruit and veg? Okay, so it's looking at the foods that you want to eat, deciding how many meals and snacks you have a day, putting those things that you like to eat on that plate and designing it from around there. Now, here's some examples and a good guideline if you're sitting down and you're planning out kind of, okay, well, Tam, what is a protein? What is, a carb? What is a fat? So if we have a look at here, you can see that I have proteins, veggies, carbs, and fats. So if I was going to plan out my menu, I'd be like, okay, here's some of my proteins, my beef mince, eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken. It's pretty staple what I would have each week. My fats, oils, your nut butters, avocado, chocolate, of course. Oh my God, that's always on my shopping list. I know it's on yours too, Tina. Carbs, then we have potatoes, bread, blueberries, rice, some porridge oats as well. And then veggies, the list is endless there, so that's kind of, I'm looking at and I say, right, well, how many portions each of these do I need? Like, obviously I'm going to have 7 dinners, there's 7 lunches and 7 breakfasts, so you kind of work out how much you need from there. Okay, so it's to try and keep it super simple. You don't need a list as long as your arm. We tend to eat the same things anyway, so you can get more variety each week on week, or if you want to be super chefy like, then go for it. It's what works for you. Okay, so it's kind of write down your list, then how many portions per category. Okay, keep it simple. From there, then what you want to do is determine your portion sizes. Okay, so this again is so different for everybody. You've determined what food you're going to be getting. Okay, so you have your protein goal, which is a very common one. One of the very first things I actually start people off with, because protein is king, we know that, and it's definitely a really great way to say, obviously we look at our calories, but then we try to add in that extra element because it keeps us fuller for longer, guys, and your hair, your nails, like just life in general, protein is an awesome macro. So like that, when it comes to writing that list, the secondary for that is like, do I have enough protein? Now I have an example here of 175 grams, which all of you know is quite high. I'm sure not a lot of us are hitting that, but it's kind of to give you an idea of how you portion that out, right? So 175 grams of protein in the day. If somebody was to eat 5 times a day, or they could eat 3 meals and 2 snacks usually, what they're going to try and do is break that goal up into individual meals. So they eat 5 times a day, they want to get 35 grams of protein in each of those meals. Or if they only ate 3 times a day, then they're going to be looking at getting a much higher amount of 60 grams. Now, there is literally no good or no bad answer to how many meals you should have a day. It's what works for you. Okay, so this is just kind of giving you an example of that. And anyone kind of tracking their calories or macros would know better of kind of how much protein is contained in it. But somebody who is maybe hand portioning and stuff like that, just always remember, should be the palm of your hand that the protein can fit into. Okay, so it's really important to kind of try and hit those goals as you go along. And always, guys, anyone who is tracking, remember to pop it into your app before you have it. You know yourself, if you eat it and then pop it in, you can't take that back. So I'm sure you're like me. Sometimes you're like, I won't put that in. It's like it went in your mouth. So, so just to kind of make that protein goal a little bit easier for you to hit as well, if you pre-plan it like that, then you know yourself it is a bit easier to reach, because we all know that protein goal can be a little bit tricky sometimes because we are carb and fat creatures. We aren't protein creatures, right? So just to give you a little tip on that one. Now, once you've planned it out, whether it's on a piece of paper, in your tracking app, on your whiteboard, whatever it is, make your grocery list based off those. Okay, saves a lot of time, saves a lot of money. You go in, you know exactly what you're doing. You won't be walking around aimlessly. You won't be buying things you don't necessarily need, and you won't be wasting your money on things that may not serve your goals so much right now. And also, if you buy fresh produce, fresh meat, and never actually cook it as well, it goes straight into the bin, you know, as well. So it really does give you more bang for your buck if you are, you know, planning ahead like this. Okay, so you can see how pre-planning is such a huge tool. As I said, it can also apply to, let's say, if you have a goal of working out, you know, it helps to plan ahead. Let's say you have an online calendar, or, you know, scheduling out certain times where you most likely be able to work out and that sort of thing. So pre-planning works for absolutely everything. If we want to try and conquer a new goal, a new skill, simply by planning ahead can help out a ton. Okay, so meal prep hack number 2. If you determine if you're a food prepper or a meal prepper. Okay, so you're like, what does that mean? Now, food prepping is kind of what you see in this picture, right? Food prepping is cooking in batches, not necessarily putting the meals together, but cooking those certain items that make up those meals so you can mix and match at different times. So say you made some mince and you cook some chicken, obviously things like Greek yogurt is good to go. Eggs, then if you say boiled some eggs, and then you have different choices. So one day you could take some chicken, you cook some sweet potato or broccoli, put that in, and then the next day I have salmon, you know, with some pre-cooked rice and that broccoli again. So you've got all these things ready to go, ready to make a meal out of. So, you know, it gives you more variety, okay, which is one of the pros for sure on this. You get more flexibility, you get a little bit more variety, so you don't get bored with the food that you're eating. Some of the cons, though, obviously, it does require a little bit more planning instead of just having all your meals planned out and just kind of mindlessly grabbing it and eating it throughout the week. You do still have to sit down and say, right, this is the combination I'm having today, and putting it in your tracking app. Or if you're using the hand guide, sit down and kind of mix and match and figure out that instead of just grabbing and going with the flow, because you're still there to make it. But if you are somebody who does like a little bit more variety, that is food prepping is always a good idea. So cook all the rice as one, all the sweet potatoes one, some chicken as one, and keep them all as one, and then create your menu as you go along throughout the week. Okay, so there's food prepping. Meal prepping then, which is what I think a lot more people kind of do. Sorry, I should have changed that picture there. It is when you prep your meals. So not only do you batch cook, but then you portion it into your meals, you know, that kind of way. So you have all the meals ready to go, which you just pluck out of the fridge or the freezer if you've frozen them, chuck it in the microwave and you eat it, or, you know, eat it on the go. So you're not kind of, you don't mix and match. Okay, so the pros of that, obviously you don't have to worry about it. It's, you know what the calories are in your app or your hand portions, so you know exactly what they are for the week. However, you don't have that luxury or the flexibility of having something different every day. So this works for some people. Some people just don't care if they eat the same thing every day. They want the convenience, they want the quickness, and that sort of thing. So you need to do what is right for you. And usually when we meal prep, you kind of have 3, 4, 5 meals done at a time as well. And then, you know, you can freeze some of them if you don't want to eat the same thing for 5 days or that sort of thing. So then you're going to be stocking your freezer as well, which is a kind of a good thing as well. So you need to decide which one suits you best, because there's got to be some sort of preparation. Not all of us have the luxury of being able to cook, you know, beautiful, gorgeous meals every single day spend 2 hours making a dinner and an hour making lunch. That's just not the reality of our lives. So we want to come home from a long day, we literally just want our food sitting in front of us, we want to veg out, we want to de-stress from the day, that sort of thing. So it's about finding the moments where you do want to do those big cooks, or you just want the convenience. Okay, so it's really important to figure out what works best for you. Meal prep number 3 is to be disciplined, which a lot of you guys are probably like, right, cool, I know I have to be disciplined, but it's one thing to know that you need to be, but it's one thing to apply that. We all know that, right? So here's a little something that most people don't realize. Being disciplined, so AKA working smarter, not harder, is something a lot of people don't realize, that disciplined people are actually lazy, right? I'm just going to put it out there. I'm probably one of them. Really lazy in the sense that they're going to make it as easy as possible, okay? Where it's almost impossible that they're going to try, to say, no, okay, I'm finding these different hacks to save time, to make it easier, make it easier on me, make me work less, not necessarily trying to white knuckle things, when you get stressed, you sort of thing. So it's to think of themselves, I need to work, smarter in these situations. So when I call people lazy, I don't mean lazy, yeah, you're a lazy person. I mean in the sense of like that, how can I make this easier for me, right? So it's a good way of looking at things as well, and not trying to like push through these things that don't work over a long period of time. It shows, that you're really motivated, but we're looking for consistency, right? That's the important thing. We're looking for lifelong change, and obviously lifelong change is probably going to happen a little bit easier if you are constantly trying to find new ways to make it easier on yourself. Because as I said before, change is hard. We're not creatures that like change a lot. So if things are a lot easier for us, then change can be a lot more easier to swallow, so to speak. So to show you some ways that you can be more disciplined, or as I said, not work harder but work smarter, is ask yourself not necessarily how hard I can work, but how can I make this easier on myself? So I found this routine that I really like, but there is one thing that I can make easier on myself. Is there one thing that I can do to help me not take so much time, say, grocery shopping, or not take so much time prepping my food, but still enjoy and still be successful? I think those people that are going to be a little bit more consistent with their meal prepping enjoy it a little bit more. Okay, and I know that there's a lot of people that don't like meal prepping because it takes half their day, but it doesn't have to. It really doesn't. If you start thinking about how you can work smarter and not harder, you can easily break down your meal prepping into 30 minutes, guys, like honestly, or an hour. Okay, 30 minutes might be a little bit short sometimes, but even an hour. And I know for a fact it takes me longer than 5 minutes to make a meal or multiple meals. Okay, I'm not going to do it because I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, and I know for a fact that if I keep trying to do it, I'm going to end up just white knuckling and just go, oh, and just stuff there. Do you know, that kind of way? So we're all very, very busy people, okay? And we don't want to fall off the wagon, although we do on many occasions. So I'm not going to sugarcoat that, we do. But some examples of making it easier on yourself, working smarter, not harder, is using the meal prep services from time to time. I know if me and Gary have a busy week, clean cut meals or whatever it is at the time, we get it in. You just bung it in the microwave, 2 minutes later you have your meal, and they're tasty and they're great nutrients in them, great calories, all of that sort of thing as well. So don't be afraid of these things. So using your meal prepping services, pre-made foods as well, like yourself now, there's heaps of things like chicken and ham and turkey, all of these pre-cooked meats that we can use, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. So we can use them as well. Don't be scared of them. As I said, it takes the time out, and like especially if you're traveling or you're on the go for the day, do you know what I mean? They're so handy just to chuck in the lunchbox, or and take it with you as well. Another big thing is if you're traveling, you know, and people say, oh, I'm traveling, I have no kitchen. Like, you can order meal prep services wherever you are. Do you know, that kind of way as well? So, you know, there shouldn't be any excuses. And the truth is as well, if you are traveling and you get a meal prep service, it's probably like 5 to 10 euro per meal, whereas if you eat out, you're looking at 20 euro plus, you know, so it actually saves money in the long run as well, which is a great thing. Meal prep tools, then on things like Dublin Meat Company and all of them, you guys eat them, you know what they're like. So they have decent ingredients, not a lot of sodium and that sort of thing as well. Meal prep tools then, so what I mean by that is how you cook your food. Okay, so things like the grill, like, totally take heaps of time out of cooking, and one of my favorite meal prep tools is the grill as well. So, you know, it takes half the time of putting things in the oven, having to wait half an hour. You can actually have things done within a few minutes, and you can chuck heaps of things under there as well, like, you know, asparagus, burgers, sweet potato, all at once. It's gone in. Less dishes, thank you very much, happy days. It's always a good thing. So, you know, think about how you can cook your food a bit quicker. You know, another thing is the air fryer. Like, how handy is an air fryer? You can actually make a whole meal, you know, in one go and do nothing. It's just in there, it's gone round, you know. So finding those meal prep tools that suit you. Slow cooker, again, chuck it in, come home, it's done. You know, so there's all of these things that you can do, that you can batch cook things really, really quickly, or not have to do anything with it. Okay, so that's another thing to keep in mind. Obviously, recipes they take a few minutes to put together, is always a handy thing as well. While we do like to have some beautiful meals and spend a lot of time in the kitchen from time to time, during our work weeks, it's probably easier to find things that you can just have done in a few minutes. Okay, and having those pre-cooked things, and the tools to use that are a lot quicker, are definitely a way forward. Okay, so, and then finding a routine, guys. Now, what I mean by that is, most of us have the same sort of week, in the sense of, you know, we go to work Monday to Friday. Poor Margaret doesn't. Margaret's shifts are all over the place, so I won't include you in this one. But most of us know how our weeks are going to go. So, you know, it's finding a routine. Where do I fit this in? Okay, now obviously it's not always going to go the same way, but, you know, if you can find a routine, a schedule, rather than creating this unrealistic expectation that everything needs to be, dare I say it, Instagram worthy. We've all seen meal pictures, they're front and center on these things, but, you know, placed on a plate super fancy. In reality, it's not like that. Sometimes I've just grabbed a burger patty out of my meal prep container on a fork, eaten it cold, didn't even cut up. You know, like, this is what we do. So we need to find a routine that makes things easier. And as I said, we've already done a whole section on this, but planning ahead is absolutely key, guys. If you have a plan, you know, you're like literally 99% better off heading in that direction than if you had no plan whatsoever. Okay, so I'll just let Tracy in here, she got dropped off. Sorry, guys. There we go. Now I'll just share my screen again. Now, sorry, Tracy, we'll blame Tracy for this interruption. Now, here we go. There's my lovely face. There we go. Okie dokie. So that makes sense. Work smarter, not harder. Super important. Meal prep shouldn't be a chore or something that you hate doing every week. Okay. Meal prep number 4, and this is one that most people don't really do, to be honest. You know, as I said, we all know protein is the king of all macros. It helps you build muscle, it helps you stay satiated. For those of you paying attention to your hair, your skin, your nails, also makes you look younger. You know, who doesn't want to look younger? Your hair looks better, your skin looks better when you get an adequate amount of protein. Okay, so, but most people, now you guys are pretty good, but most people, and you probably knew this at the start, that are severely deficient in protein intake in their diets. And I think the reason why that is probably a bit harder to cook. You probably have to clean up a bit more after cooking protein. And there's not a lot of access. Well, there is now, but then it used to be like good quality protein that doesn't actually break the bank. That's one thing I noticed over here in New Zealand. Like, steak and, you know, these things, like, they're stupid money. Like, actually my jaw drops in the supermarket how expensive these things are. It's really expensive to eat well. It's inexpensive to eat crap, which is really terrible, really. But, you know, that's the reality that we live in. So we need to become bit more wary and a bit more sensible with the way that we approach protein. Now, I already told you how to break it down into your meals. So when we're looking at protein, cooking in bulk, right? Or buying in bulk as well. You know, family packs are way more cheaper as well than buying an individual thing as well. So it allows you to do everything all at once. So it saves you money again, reduces waste, and you always have protein on hand as well to help you reach your daily protein goal, because we know it can be tricky to reach. So, you know, when you cook a bunch of protein as well, now you need to think about how you cook it. Okay, like I'm literally, these steps are on repeat here. You know, grill a whole bunch of chicken breast, or, you know, or bake, you know, a few bits of fish, you know, whatever's it. Put the burgers in the air fryer, whatever is most convenient and fast for you, and then we can put it into our individual containers or keep them stored together. Now, do bear in mind these things do last sort of for 3 to 4 days in the fridge. Anything past that, you know, you do want to be freezing them, but having the cooked stuff in the freezer as well is an absolute game changer. There's no excuse. Just defrost it in the microwave, it's good to go. You know, so it saves you time again, it saves you money. So if you can buy in bulk, or cook in bulk with your proteins, it's definitely going to help you reach those protein targets. Number 5, we have one more left after this, so you don't have to listen to me for much longer. So the next one is obviously frozen food. Guys, frozen foods are your freaking friends. Like, honestly, for some reason, over the years, we've been told that frozen foods are somehow, they're not really good for you. I'd say it was probably 10 or 15 years ago, there was kind of, you know, really high sodium processed frozen foods that weren't necessarily healthy for you. But now, as we progress, healthier options, more and more accessible, especially in the frozen food section. You know, that always look up the ingredient list on these things though, guys, and be aware of what you are eating for sure. But in the frozen food section, there's so much choice and so much quality food that does align with our goals, and it does tend to be a bit cheaper, okay, than what fresh food is, and it is frozen at its peak freshness. Like, the Green Isle ad is not lying. Like, it is literally frozen at the peak of perfection, you know. So in some cases it's better than buying fresh, because say you bought some strawberries, how often have you thrown half of it out because you haven't eaten them, you know, and at the end of the week, you know, it's not edible. So, you know, there's a lot less nutrients as well when fruit and veg get to that stage as well. So when you are buying them frozen, they've still got all that fresh. So it's really important to remember that as well. So frozen fruit and veg, okay, you don't have to go into and restock as well. That's the thing, right? You have it in the freezer and it could be there for quite some time. Like, you're not restocking every single week on these things. Sometimes some things are. You know, you can have your frozen meals. Okay, there are some really, really good ones. Like, I have some of the Weight Watchers ones, to be honest, in the freezer always, you know, just on hand. You know, I know they're low calorie, you know, maybe the protein isn't as high as, say, a Devil Meat Company or that, but they're ready to go. You know, the ingredients are good, it tastes relatively good. You know, and it's there for those just in case moments as well. If you're in a huge hurry, you don't have time to piece something together, chuck in the microwave, get it done. You know, loads of quality brands out there. Make sure that, you know, as I said, those full kind of meals, your protein, your carb, and your fat. And then any leftover proteins as well, as I mentioned, you can actually freeze them if you're cooking them yourself. If you buy those pre-made meats and that you can find in the frozen section, a lot of them are absolutely fine. Again, read the back of them, you know, because things like I bought some chicken nuggets actually the other day, loving chicken nuggets. There's tomato sauce, reminds me of eating McDonald's. But like that, you know, you can pick some up that, who knows if it's actually chicken breast in there, you know. So you do need to be a little bit wary. But if you pick one up and it says 100% chicken breast, then you know yourself, you're probably going in the right direction with that one as well. So just remember that you know, frozen foods 100% for convenience, fast. You know, they last a while in there as well. Plus, you're not going to chuck them out if they're gone spoiled by the end of the week. Okay. And last but not least, sorry, I missed that slide there. Your meal prep number 6, the final one, and a really, really good hack, is to get yourself an oh crap stash, right? Now, what I mean, what do you like? What? And I don't mean this is a thing full of chocolate and sweeties, and because if you say oh crap to me, I'm like, I'm in trouble. What I mean though, okay, let's face it, guys. Ideally, we would be making our own food. We'd have a lovely garden out the back with, organic, grass-fed, pasteurized, blah 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 blah, whatever. We'd try and make everything. We'd have these gourmet meals, all of that sort of thing. However, that's not the reality of what we're doing. Okay, and I'll be the first to admit I am lazy as hell when it comes to this. I don't want to, be spending hours meal prepping or cooking. It's the last thing I want to do after a hard day's work is spend 2 hours doing that. Okay, so don't beat yourself up about that. And I think the health and fitness industry is the greatest of providing these unrealistic expectations as well, that we need to be perfect and we need to have these gourmet meals. They need to be Instagram worthy. They have to take forever, and that's not the reality. So whatever the frick you want this oh crap stash to be is your choice. But it's about having food on access, and you're getting things done. You're able to take life and it's adding value to your life, not adding more stress. Okay, and that's sometimes what meal prepping can do. So it's about getting that value back into your life and taking a look at kind of what you're doing. Okay, and what works best for you, as I said, may not work best for someone else. Just don't ever compare yourself to what someone else is doing, because it will literally make you fall apart. Right, focus on what works best for you and you stick with that. Okay, so all those times when you're like, oh crap, I don't have any food, where's my oh crap stash? Okay, so an oh crap is a good so an oh crap stash is food is wherever you find yourself, more likely than not to have access to food in some places. So like for some people, this could be at home, it could be at work, it could be in the gym, it could be in the car, it can be in places where you keep a stash of food that minimally takes 0 to no time to prep, right? You can literally just grab and go and keep track of it, a pack of tuna. There's some good flavored ones out there at the moment, actually. Dried fruit, almond butter, just things you can have a little bit of a nibble on, proteins, fats, carbs. Always thinking about this. You can put them in your purse, in your gym bag, that things that aren't going to spoil as well. So these packaged things can last quite some time, which is awesome. So when you're at that stage, you're like, oh, I'm starving and I have no food and I don't have time to get food, you've got that stash there that you can pull out. Okay, and if you're at home, it could simply be, you have some sort of, it's the morning and you have an omelet or something that you froze, these sorts of things. You just chuck it into the microwave, work away. There's your breakfast done. And come here, I'm sure we all keep protein bars in our bags. That's an awesome oh crap stash, that sort of thing as well. So, and they fill you up for the time being. Good hit of protein, chocolate, and it takes 2 seconds to pull out of your bag. Okay, so it's kind of thinking what works best for you and what can be in there. So these are a few examples for you as well. As I said, your tuna packets. Now, I know beef jerky isn't a big thing in Ireland, but I've been eating that since I was a kid. It's big over here, your jerky sticks and that. So if you haven't tried them, do try them. Good nutrients in them. Again, hard-boiled eggs. These are something that you can keep in the fridge at home. Your frozen meals, obviously, these are all kind of for home. Then protein powder on the go is always a good thing, as well. It's about finding, okay, what do I actually enjoy eating that I can put in the stash that can sit there for a month or two, it doesn't matter, that I can grab when I'm on the run. Okay, does that make sense? And as I said, excuse me, these are places, as I said, at work, at home, in the gym, in your car, think about those moments where you do have those oh crap times, and that's where you're going to keep it. Simple, right? Easy peasy. So I hope that makes sense to you. But hang on, thank you. Any questions? I'm just going to stop my screen share and bring up your lovely faces. Does that all make sense, guys? It's stuff you're probably already doing anyway, isn't it? Was there any little nuggets in there that you might not have been doing?
My meal prep goes well when I have to work, but on my days off, it's just whatever's in the fridge.
Yeah,
That's
routine.
the problem.
It's
breaking the routine. Yeah, exactly.
Yep, and that's the thing. On days off, then you need to have some sort of structure. And that's planning it out. You look at your face, Margaret. Come on, work with me here. Some sort of structure. Say, right, I get up at this time for breakfast. I'm going to have, but it's important to try and keep it as similar to your week, your work days. So there's not a massive change either. But it's about planning it out. Number one, step one, plan it out. What about you guys? Tina, Tracy?
Yeah, no, you're right about the planning and the prep. And I found last weekend with the baby coming in that like it's all over the place, literally. So no shopping, no proper shopping was done. So this week is like, what we're going to have for dinner, and you're. So it is true. If the correct right food is there, you'll eat well.
Absolutely. And how is the baby anyway? Oh, we cold.
Baby's good. Yeah, she's good. She's gorgeous. Stole my heart, Tam.
Again, it's been stolen again.
Yeah, wrapped around my finger already.
Oh, I love it. You and Catherine will have to have baby dates, grandbaby dates.
We have Sam and Daisy married already.
I love it. Oh, well, they don't have a choice now. Arranged marriage, off it goes. Oh, that's wonderful. It's wonderful you get to share those times together, though. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. Great feeling.
Amazing. And Tracy, what about you? You're on the prepping bandwagon at the minute.
Yeah, I would find, I suppose, particularly with the kids being off school, that obviously there's a lot of activity and there's friends in and out. So I would find that it would have to be, because if I don't, or like I was saying to make the protein brownie starters, because I would tend to have a sweet tooth, and just to make sure that I would go for something like that, because like there's a press full of Easter eggs. I mean, it's gross really, but they're 3 for $5. So like people bring them in, pretty well take them away with you, but they're very good. But it's just trying to stay away from that temptation. So I find if I'm ready and organized, I don't tend to go near, because I have something nicer here that will fill me up. And I suppose, if I want chocolate, like I'm not going to deprive myself, but at the minute I'm fine, and I will try and stay, because it's not really being conducive to my goals, which is, being ready for the girls' communion. So that's kind of that's where I want to be. And I know I have not an end goal, like, but, I suppose it is certainly is an incentive. Saying that, come Easter Sunday and they're like having Easter eggs for breakfast, will I join them? Hopefully not. But look, if I do, I'll move on. But like, it is all I just said about being prepared. Like, and those tips were really good.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And it starts with that, having a plan, like literally.
Yeah.
And if we have that plan, whether it goes to plan or not, there's still that plan, and we can always bring it back around. But it's always, as I said, making it easy as you can for yourself, because the easier it is, the better we're going to do it and achieve it, that kind of way. We don't want to do things that are hard in our stressful lives already, so it's about sitting there and saying, like that, like, what's the easiest way for me to cook something, is and am I a food prepper or a meal prepper? Like, it's figuring these things out, and whatever makes it easier for you, the better you're going to stick to it, 100%. So
yeah.
Hey, any questions
No,
for me?
how's life in New Zealand now? What time is it?
Don't make us jealous. I don't want to hear. Don't make us jealous.
It's 7:45 in the morning, beautiful blue sky. So the mornings and evenings are getting a little bit cooler, but we're kind of around 25 in the middle of the day. So sorry.
And how's Bobby? He's enjoying it.
He's amazing. He's off for a walk with Granddad there. So
he's being spoiled. That's all, is it?
So spoiled. So spoiled. Yeah, he's loving life. So he started walking last week, so he's off.
Yay!
Big step.
Yeah, he was a little bit slow to the party, but yeah, he's gone. He's wicked. He's running, and he's brilliant. So he's loving life, which is good. He's
now
adjusted.
You need to put yourself and I all over your head, spinning. It will be everywhere, pulling everything. Yay! Fun for you.
I know he's pretty good in the sense he'll push me, he'll try, but you say no enough times, he goes, fine, whatever. So it's kind of good, but you have to keep saying no. So, ladies, it was awesome seeing you. I do appreciate you spending your time with me. As always, the recording goes out to literally like over 20 people. I get texts for these as well, but I do appreciate that you turn up with me. Otherwise, I'll be talking to myself. You can watch the recording. But no, appreciate your time, guys. Any questions on that, let me know. But you guys are fantastic, so you know what you're at. So have a wonderful Wednesday. I'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Guys.
Bye. Thank you.